And I trust
We
you
should
now.
talk about waxing one of these days on
Oh,
the show.
okay. Yeah. What part of the body are you waxing? I love waxing. Yeah. I love it because of the sweet pain it has. Yes, it has this smoothness it gives to the skin afterwards, but you see that pain during that.
So what
I love
happened?
it.
Let me give you the gist. I was at the salon trying to make my hair. So the next thing I just saw a video notification on WhatsApp was my friend. She said, you didn't tell me this thing was this painful. So I was wondering what happened. And interestingly, I had booked the girl to come to my house on Wednesday. And I said, is she in Magodo? Are you, oh yeah, please, when she's done, just come and meet me. You know, she said the pain. You know, but the truth is the feel afterwards. You can't explain it, right? You just feel so clean. You know, especially as women, you must take care of your, you know.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm good.
So
Very well.
What did you do over the weekend?
I had fun over the weekend. My days, I can't explain it anymore. I feel everything from good to bad to happy to what kind of country it is. I mean, we're watching the drama on Saturday, and it's interesting to see how we suddenly have enough armed men to be on the streets of Lagos and everywhere else they were dispersed to, when we've been shouting insecurity for the longest of time. People have been robbed broad daylight on Eko Bridge, Third Mainland Bridge, and they didn't see it necessary to send out these people to protect the citizens. But when people just wanted to march peacefully, it wasn't going to be like days of protest. It's supposed to be just that day, right? Peaceful walk to express how they feel. And I mean,
of course, there's a significance to June 12th, right? So it's important that, you know, for the people that know about that significance, to keep on keeping that thing at the front burner. And some of the expression of that June 12th is also that walk, that march, that, you know, going on the streets to talk about, and that awareness, create the awareness. So I don't really understand.
I saw the whole
you know,
tear gas, they're being tear gas.
I saw one man, his eyes was all red. Was,
a reporter too as well, a journalist, his eyes was all red. And I don't know why they keep doing this, because it wasn't like I said, it wasn't going to be a continuous thing. This was just for June 12th.
Yeah,
to express ourselves and how we feel. But that was also interesting.
I mean, the interesting thing about June 12th is even the president recognizes that that day is a significant day. So that is why Democracy Day was now moved to June 12th.
Yeah.
I mean, last year. So this is the first time we're even celebrating it proper. I mean, it's only right for you to allow people to express themselves.
Kudos to Governor Shane Makinde.
All right, so today we're talking media, the role of media towards nation building. And here's what we found as today's quote. I still believe that if your aim is to change the world, journalism is a more immediate short-term weapon. I mean, this is very powerful from Tom Stoppard. It's so powerful, and it's an apt quote, because anybody in front of a camera, in front of a TV, behind the radio station and all of that, you are powerful. And you know, it's a tool that can actually, it's a tool that can be used to shape mindset. All right, so media can inform citizens on key issues ranging from policies to elections. In theory, the media should be seen as an enabler for democracy. Having better educated voters would lead to a more legitimate government that eventually builds a great nation. So to understand the role of media in nation building, Maruf is here to discuss this. But first, we'll take a break to see what we found in the news. You're still watching Ways now. Blood Donor Day. What's wrong with me today?
Did they wax your tongue?
They wax my tongue. Well, World Blood Donor Day takes place on 14th of June each year. The aim is to raise global awareness of the need for safe blood and blood products for transfusion, and of the critical contribution voluntary unpaid blood donors make to national health systems. Now, the day also provides an opportunity to call to action to governments and national health authorities to provide adequate resources and put into place systems and infrastructures to increase the collection of blood from voluntary, non-remunerated blood donors. One of what's it called that I plan to start doing very soon is to actually donate blood, because I'm supposed to be a universal donor.
You're supposed to be.
I am actually, not that.
Have you donated before?
Of course I have.
Okay, so you're supposed to be. So how often are you supposed to?
But the thing is, I've not donated in a very long time. I've not donated blood in a very long time. So it's something I'll just find time to do, you know, because people truly need blood.
Yeah.
I remember the time I went to the hospital and God rest her soul, my sister-in-law passed. You know, I was breastfeeding then, you know. I was able to donate very good quantity of blood.
Well, of course, they have to test you first to be sure.
Of course, they will test you for everything, HIV, everything, to be sure your blood is clean, you know, and all of that. So it's a good thing to do when you can, and that's why they advise people. I mean, Ronaldo said he doesn't want to have tattoos and all of that. Because another thing again is when you have all those piercings and all of that tattoos, your blood is somewhat contaminated.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
So people with piercings and tattoos cannot donate?
They don't accept. At least abroad, I don't know here. I don't know here. All right, so have you donated blood before?
No, I haven't.
It's quite good. But you know, the interesting thing that happened with the blood donation, that night, I can't forget that night, there was one guy, I think he's also like me, or his blood was compatible with hers. I can't remember whether he's a universal donor like me. He just gave 1 pint. Or more, they had to bring more than milk. Kola wanted to faint. I mean, anytime I remember that night, I was just, you know, I'll chuckle, because just one time, me, I was breastfeeding, I donated, I was normal. This one, he was so dizzy, his eyes, you know. So men truly they can't handle some things that we handle.
You can't generalize because of Bodakola. There are men that can donate much more than you have, and they are the ones that like cola. It's not.
Yeah, well. So
for me, I don't know where I will fall, whether I'll fall on your side or cola side. So.
Well, until you try it, you won't know.
Yeah,
you won't know. So for those that are out there, if you can, please visit any of the, I mean, there are centers all over. Visit any of the centers and donate blood. It's very important.
Yeah, maybe you should take your story first, since it has to do
because it has to do with blood
donation.
That's true. Let me just quickly take it. So the federal government is talking about giving some form of, I think they did some form of compensation. Sorry, I'm trying to pull out the story. I thought you would take yours first.
Some form of recognition. Yeah.
So they're giving some recognition to people that are donating blood. Let me just pull it out. The Minister for Health, Dr. Ehanire. Yeah, that's it. It says 67 times voluntary blood donors get federal government recognition.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
the man donated 67 times.
Yeah.
I think the woman donated 32 or 35 times.
Yeah, so the Minister of Health has recognized some voluntary unpaid blood donors for consistency and timely donations to the National Blood Transfusion Services, that's the blood bank. Ehanire made the recognition of, that's today, during a news conference in commemoration of the World Blood Donor Day. So I'm happy that, you know, people are actually out there that are going. Yes, so her name is Miss Hajara Isa, who won the female category. She gave 32 times blood donation, and the man, yes, 67 times. That's Nathan Akpan. This man must be a very strong man. So this is not Mr. He's not Uncle Kola.
You can see.
Because for him to give this much, you know, I mean, it's a fantastic thing to do. I mean, it just, you know, the satisfaction that you get knowing that your blood actually saved somebody else's life. I mean, you can't buy that. It's just one feeling that you cannot. You just need to experience it to understand
this is your advocacy. People will have to go and do this.
Yes, they have to. Please, they have to.
But also to recover is not talking about the man who has done it 67 times. There was a seminar I went for, and they were trying to tell us more about it and to encourage people to do it. and the fear was usually of how to recover fast. And they're like, you'd always generate blood. I can't remember the exact medical terms now used, but in the space of 2-3 days,
I said I didn't feel anything.
I'm talking of those that will feel something.
I didn't
We're
feel
talking
anything.
of those that will feel something. Yeah, so maybe I'll take my own
Yeah,
story.
take your story.
Google removes a social media app owned by a former presidential aspirant, Adamu Garba. Adamu have said he created the app as a homegrown alternative to platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And of course, they've not given any reason, and they don't even owe anybody a reason. But from what we know, based on how they operate, it's definitely because of, or is most definitely because of the interesting reviews Nigerians went to drop on the app. So a lot of negative reviews, and because the way he's going, I'm not a fan of Adamu Garba for any reason, right? Especially the way he speaks, the way he thinks. He's so backward thinking for his age, as far as I'm concerned. But I think he has done something good with this app. However, the way he has decided to market it is a problem. You cannot actively want to pull people down, and you want to see people watch you pull others down as well, because you want Nigerians to embrace your brand. How about have a marketing budget? How about have people who understand marketing for them to teach you how to get this thing done? A lot of these were pointed out as regards to the app, because I've never bothered to check it out anyway. People are talking about how the terms and conditions are basically copy and paste from another, not even Twitter, another social media platform as well, like copy and paste, you know. So a lot was
no
noted,
research was done,
and they reported the app, and a lot of reports. It was accused of a lot. If you read the reviews, you would laugh. So I'm sure the review got so much that Google Play had to act on it. So I don't know how long it took him to get it back up, but that's
and
one
even
of
the names have carried. You know, this app came at off the back of the NSAS around that period.
He's always had it, and has always promoted it in a very cynical way. So that period too was a time where a lot more people now got to know about it because of the tweets he made and trying to take Jack to court. You know, so because that time you are wasting to do all these things, why not look for funds and actually promote it like a platform that is what being promoted? Do what every other person have done. I mean, it's not like we don't have new platforms cropping up, even if it's not Nigerian.
You pay influencers to do that.
Clubhouse,
Clubhouse
came up in 2020, and it is a big deal right now. So why not sit down and research and think and get people who understand it instead of trying to bring people down?
He didn't think
he still doesn't understand.
And this is the thing with Nigerians. You don't just copy and paste. First of all, you must do your market research. You must understand the demography you're working with. Do you understand? And now tailor. You know, it's just like our democracy, where they say you copy and paste, you know, from somewhere. You must tailor something to suit the where you're in right now. You know, you can't just do those kind of stuff.
Copy and paste
those people that have the things you copied, they did in-depth research before they came up with those terms and conditions and all of those things. So what's research? How much have you paid to people to say, okay, you know what, go and do this research for me. Let us see what we can bring that's tailored uniquely for us as a nation.
I like the idea, but I don't think he's not ready for the business, or he's not even suited for that business. He just remain in politics and whatever else he does that gives him money, really.
Alrighty, we'll take a break now. When we return, we'll be discussing the role of media in nation building, and we'll have a guest with us. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
Now 500 naira they collect them.
If you don't talk, they go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
Politics has helped shape the decision of the polity, from conspiracy theories to good old-fashioned comic politics.
These are the result of tomorrow's election. You have it already, have you?
I am not hungry. If I need appointment, all I need to do is to start praising government.
Plus, politics will fill the polls of the country, from friends to frenemies, even strange bedfellows, to clones and stooges. We go beyond the rhetorics and the drama to analyze the story behind the story.
Let anybody come and say.
The moment we stop having charlatans occupy political offices, we will curtail hate speech.
Plus,
Thanks for staying with us. Now, media serves as a bridge between the government and the people. The government's policy and actions are conveyed to the people, and the latter views are forcefully expressed to make the authorities aware of the public feelings. Now, it makes the policymakers aware of the wrongs that may otherwise escape attention. Media also helps the people to be aware about to be aware and develop a consensus upon important national and international developmental issues. It also helps them understand the various obstacles in the process of development, imbibing basic skills amongst the people. Mass media can instruct people and educate them. So how well is the media doing as regards nation building, educating people, getting them enlightened in Nigeria? That's our question tonight. So please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-80384663. I've been delivered from Twitter. So I don't know what's wrong with my All right, so Elsie, quickly, before I bring in our guest, I just wanted to hear your thoughts on what do you think? In Nigeria, are we there with our media?
Where?
Do you think our media has gained that power enough to be able to shake up things that would eventually lead to nation building, policy making, changing, and all of that? Do you think we are there? Should we categorize mainstream media, social media?
I think we are there in terms of being able to shake up things for those who have got the zeal and the willpower to go through with it and also do it strategically in a very smart way, right? But if we want to now bring in the conversation we had last week regarding freedom of expression and freedom of media, then that is still a very big problem because we already know what the drama is ongoing. NBC can wake up and tell you this thing you put out, they don't feel good about it, or to their own understanding it doesn't promote unity. So you are fined for it or you have to take it down. It's mostly fine anyway. So we still have a long way to go. You see when our government officials get interviewed by international journalists, how they can be open and really grill them, ask them the important questions, with follow-up questions as well, but we don't even need to go far. We saw the charade of last week and the questioning and all that. So we still have a long way to go, but I do not believe that we do not have what it takes to get it done. Maybe those who have got that will and zeal do not have the backing and the resources they need, but we have a lot of them doing something. I mean, we know Officer Show, I don't know how to pronounce his name now, Show Yombo. Yeah, the investigative journalist and what he's doing. There's a couple of other people doing a lot of things. So it's an area that is risky, but people will still have to do it at the end of the day.
Well, you know, sometimes when I look at our mainstream media, it just gives me some level of worry. So I think they're very irresponsible with the way they report, especially press, paper press, print
What would you
media.
term as irresponsible?
So, is it in a bid to make it viral, make it sensational and all of that? When you read certain headlines, I mean, if you do not have the patience, which I know Nigerians don't have that patience to go into the story and read through that story, you just realize that headline is very misleading. Yeah. I mean, for me, that's a very high level of irresponsibility, because we are already almost like sitting on a keg of gunpowder in Nigeria. So I'm just wondering, why do you want to still heat up the politics? Right?
So it also means that they are not interested in the profession and the ethics. It's now about the clicks and virality. Let me see how the story would, I'm glad we're having this conversation.
Yeah, so I'll bring in our guest. Maruf Adinakan is a seasoned communications and reputation management consultant. He has over 20 years experience with enterprise spanning media relations and management, advertising, sales, marketing, strategy, public relations, and public reputation management. He's also currently the managing director of PR Redline Limited, a Lagos-based public relations and marketing consultancy. And he's joined us live in studio. Thank you so much for joining us. And I apologize for murdering your name earlier. I think I'm still in cloud nine. Maybe it's the holiday.
I don't know.
Elsie gave me too much to drink over the holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did.
Wow.
Does the media go on holiday?
No, we don't actually. But we had the weekend break
okay.
over the weekend. So thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
So you had our banter on, media, nation building, and responsible reporting and all of that. Maybe we should start with, what's your general assessment as to the strength of the Nigerian media?
Okay, so the strength of Nigerian media, the first thing to do is against what are we benchmarking this?
Okay.
Are we benchmarking this against the basic standard that it should be, or we're benchmarking this against certain countries, certain nations, and all the likes? So first thing is to say, what does the role of media, what does it look like? And where is Nigerian media if we look at it against that standard? First thing, the media is supposed to be an agenda-setting platform. How much of agenda do we think or do we see daily that the media is setting? Agenda in the sense that what should Nigeria be looking forward to doing in another 3-4 years or 5 years? What was supposed to be that agenda for this particular administration, let's say, for a particular government? What should the agenda look like for education? What should the agenda look like for health? What should the agenda look like even for social media? If the media is supposed to say, this is what we are setting as agenda, what should it be like? What should Nigerians be discussing? That is what the role of media should look like. And so if we want to benchmark, we'll benchmark against that, those roles, those responsibilities, and all the like. I think to a very large extent, if we look at it on the scale of 1 to 10, on that, I think around 4 to 5. Yeah. A lot of factors are responsible.
So when you say 4 to 5, are you talking mainstream media or you're talking social media?
Well, when you say media, I'm not looking at social media in this space.
Okay.
Because the social media is a different kettle of fish. It's a different one.
Yeah.
But media, in terms of mainstream, the print, radio, television, and those that are online in terms of getting news out there, yes.
So you rate us at a 5?
5, 4 to 5. In between 4 and 5.
You need to do better. Okay, for me, when it comes to the kind of headline we see, I know it's easy for us to just not look back, look forward, or look at the present and think that the sensationalizing she's talking about, what she termed as irresponsibility, just started, right? But if you look at history, I mean, it's rolling on the screen now, the headlines we've been having is the same headlines we have today. You have the one that says, bang, fall of the Naira, and that one says, is Nigeria ready for war? And this was in 1986. Petroleum subsidy, the government versus the people, NEPA, no more blackouts. This was still 1986. So it's easy for you to assume that these headlines is recent, especially if you don't take out time to look at the dates of this headline. Lagos traffic defies solution. This was when? In 1976. And we're still having that conversation now. So is it that this is just our reality and they need to report it the way it is? Or we are not growing at all?
Okay. First thing, I don't think media is conjuring news. I think that is the first thing to establish. I don't think Nigerian media is conjuring news from nowhere, or just pick it from the cloud and say, this is what is happening. No. First thing is that every news you see out there is a product of what is happening somewhere. Now, there's something we call slanting. The slanting here means that how the composition of the ownership of the media, a particular media house, a particular newspaper or a radio, or if there is a section of a particular nation, what their view look like will reflect in the content the media will dish out. So the ownership is number one. Number two, the philosophy of the media determines what you also get out there. Number three is what the consumer actually is looking for. If the media has seen what they may be looking forward to reading, then they will churn content that is related to that.
That line, yes.
Now, so these three key areas are very important. The ownership, the philosophy, the mood of the nation, and then the audience, what they probably have noted, or they're looking for this kind of a thing and all the like. And you see that in clear terms also across the social media. The content you see on your feed is a product of what most people have seen or they are tweeting. If they are tweeting, if people are tweeting in certain direction, the kind of thing you see will reflect that. The kind of things you search will also reflect what comes to your feed. So your feed is giving you, the social media platform you're opening at the point in time is giving to you what you have been searching for.
That's where algorithm comes to play.
Exactly. So the same thing, the media also plays in that space. So first thing to look at is if the ownership of the media, and you see this across the world. You see it with Sky, you see it with CNN, you see it with Al Jazeera. Over time, Al Jazeera grew out of Islamism and Arabism to try to look broad, to
become a bit accepted worldwide.
Yes, to be broad-based. So at a point in time, it was like the mouthpiece for Al-Qaeda related conversations and all the like. But over time, the world changed and they began to see things in different light, that terrorism as carried out by those groups were not necessarily in the interest of the Arabs and the Muslims. And then they started seeing it in different light. And you see the content started changing over time. And then it no longer, they stopped giving their platform, to the terrorists. Unlike when they started out. That was the mouthpiece. Everywhere they want to say Arabism and, Islam and all sort of things, which was not the actual cause. The same thing you see around here. So when a media platform, the ownership determines where they pander to, where they move to.
Okay, I like what you said about, you want to do a follow-up question?
Yeah.
Because I was going to just hit on that ownership, right? Because in Nigeria, it seems like a lot of media houses, maybe apart from NTA, apart from NTA that is owned by the federal government, most mainstream media are owned by private individuals, and you can always see that it's tilting, towards a certain dispensation. When there's change in power, you see that this one is in favor with, and all of that. But should that be so when it comes to the media, right? Shouldn't the media on its own, even regardless of the structure of the owners of that platform, is there no way to bypass the interest of that owner? Because CNN is owned by someone.
I like the word bypass.
You don't get my point. CNN is owned by someone. And if you really check, right, that person's agenda is being pushed, though, clearly. But it is not so obvious. That's the word I'm looking for. Like in Nigeria, where you would clearly see that, this media house is maybe a certain way or bias, because, of the owners of the platform. So is it not possible to be able to bypass that? Since you are a media platform and millions of lives, depends on what comes out of your mouth as a media platform.
Okay. You use CNN as an example. The pro-Trump will disagree with you that the ownership of CNN did not at any point, affected their content. Those that believe Trump was, badly projected by CNN would disagree with you that the ownership did not have an effect on the content CNN was pushing out. The same thing applies to...
It didn't have effect, or it had an effect? Because people would swear.
It definitely had an effect.
Because people would swear that Trump was really...
Yes. So
CNN was part of the people that removed Trump.
That was there. And the same thing you see on the other side, on the flip side,
yeah.
for Fox and the likes. You will see this also in the British media. How they want to project somebody is a product of the ownership or the philosophy of the platform. Now, the philosophy of the platform may have a little difference. There's very light or little or no difference between the ownership and the philosophy. If the platform says we are Republican by nature, there's nothing you do as a Democrat that will look so good.
Okay. Let's bring it back
home. Yeah.
Nigeria. This Republican and Democrat, I don't understand the drama. You said something initially. You said the mood of the nation, right? And you mentioned the content as well being as a result of the research the media houses may have done to determine what their audience also want to see. But in putting out the right information out there, because we all know the mood of the nation right now, should the mood of the nation or the mood of the people, the majority of the people, which are young people, really direct the content if we are going to use media, now back to our topic, as a role for nation building?
The media is supposed to project what the people are saying. It won't just, there's no content that is from nowhere.
Yeah, but you said something about agenda as well. Isn't there a way that we can use the media to correct some of the perceptions and also help in, for example, doing investigative reports, doing factual reports to say, you think it is like this or it is like this, but this is what it is? Yes, I understand the role of reporting what you see, and most times it's now, well, we are still on Twitter ban, but before Twitter ban, it's now reporting people's expression, which is what I think Twitter is. Right, you tweet, you pick it up, and it's a big deal, and it's a news, and that becomes the mood of the nation, while a whole lot is going on beyond Twitter. So isn't there a way that the media can sit down and understand the situation of things? I'm not saying do not acknowledge the mood of the nation, but to use this tool that is a very strong tool to also help in nation building. Okay,
so first thing to understand is that the mainstream media have a big role to play in this area. They are expected to have the resources and the wherewithal to be able to do what we're talking about in terms of agenda setting. People are saying this. Where is that avenue? Where do you source the right information and correct and ask for the questions, ask the right questions, and also seek to know what is the true reflection of things from either organizations or governments. Now, where government decides to shut the door at the people who are supposed to provide the right information, then there will be a problem. And we see this a whole lot. Everywhere you turn to, you want to reach out to the spokesperson, to the president, it's like you want to see the president. Now, how many people have access So access is a major thing, and that's why you now find when you talk to most of the media, when you talk to journalists, you say, I don't have the access, I don't get the access. Now, if you don't get the access, what should you report? Then you report not what you have just heard on the street. You report it more like, according to, as at the time of this filing this report, we could not reach this person. Or you keep the report till you are able to
Reach.
Now, what you get, let me start an example. For every news, there is what you call the 4W, 5Ws and H. Now, when any of those, you are not able to meet all of any of those, minimum of 3 to 4 out of 6, then your news may become problematic at the end of the day.
Okay, you know what? We'll hold that thought. 5 Ws and a H. When we come back from the break, he will tell us what that means. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Politics has helped shape the decision of the polity, from conspiracy theories to good old-fashioned comic politics.
These are the result of tomorrow's election. You have it already, Abi.
I am not hungry. If I need appointment, all I need to do is to start praising government.
Plus, politics will fill the polls of the country, from friends to frenemies, even strange bedfellows to clones and stooges. We go beyond the rhetorics and the drama to analyze the story behind the story.
Let anybody come and say it.
The moment we stop having charlatans occupy political offices, we will curtail hate speech.
Plus Politics, not just another political show. It's about putting you, the citizens, in the know.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, if you're just tuning in, we're discussing the role of media in nation building. Now, please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663, and we still have more Ruth with us. All right, so before we went on the break, you talked about 5 C's and a H that you want.
5 Ws.
5 Ws rather.
And H.
5 W and a H. So what are the 5 Ws?
So the basic thing is what happened, where, when, how. So when you are not able to provide answers to those questions, then what you call your news becomes problematic. Then it's not newsy, it's not complete. We all saw it the day the unfortunate plane crash involving the chief of Army Staff.
Yes.
And then a particular video went viral everywhere. This is whatever, according to eyewitness, and the person said, this is what I saw. Now, in aviation reporting, there are rules around aviation reporting. And then you see this same material going everywhere. So that's why you did not see it on mainstream media platform, because they understand the rules of engagement in that particular space.
Yeah.
So for every area of endeavor, there are what you call those keywords, the path to success for each news, for anything you call news item. And that's very important. So to build a nation, the media needs to follow those rules. Where those rules are not followed, what you will have is what we are currently experiencing, chaos. Everything will just go anyhow, and then like someone said, I think it's Feifa said something, we call it anyhowness. Now, the anyhowness that you experience coming from the mainstream media, was supposed to be the pathfinder, is what you see again on the social media. That's what is reflecting on the social media.
Okay.
Question?
So I was going to ask a question, but I think, Elsie, we have a comment from an audience first. Let's take that before I ask that question.
Okay, good evening, ladies.
Okay.
Sadly, like every other Nigerian, a typical media person is fundamentally malnourished, physically, financially, and eventually intellectually. All these adversely affect the quality of anything they are capable of presenting towards molding the mind and future we all desire, either as a nation or even globally. And that's from Benson. So that's a strong one.
It's very strong because it was going to be tied to what I was going to say. I mean, when you hear the brand Paul, you hear the brand Oprah. These are media personalities, you know. I mean, Larry King, just name them. There's a level of respect that comes with an international media brand where, you know, people, even in that space, respect them. Our journalists in Nigeria are... How do we make things better? Because if we want to explain how they are being treated and how it comes across, right? It seems like you don't matter. You know, in some climes, people are so scared of journalists. I mean, for this person to interview you, you make sure you gather all your facts, gather all your, you know what I mean? It's not like that with Nigeria. So where did we lose that? How did we lose it? How did we lose the strength that a journalist is supposed to wield? Right? And how can we build it back?
Okay, so look at the media organization you have set as example and the personalities. First thing to look at is what is the advert revenue of CNN on daily basis? For a week, will probably be what a media organization, the biggest media organization in Nigeria is struggling with for a whole year. Now, so it starts from
So we have the problem of funding.
economic funding of the media itself. So the media then needs to look for a creative, quote and unquote, creative way to get this money. A White House correspondent from CNN. CNN is not on retainership with White House. And when I say retainership here means that White House is paying CNN to report White House. Let's leave it like that. So the truth here is this. Nearly all the media houses in Nigeria are getting paid for reporting Aso Rock. Now, so if they are getting paid to report Aso Rock, so what do they want to report?
What Aso Rock wants them to report.
So not what Aso Rock wants them to report day-to-day activities of the Aso Rock. Not like this is dictated to you, no. This is more like, this is our activity of event for this week. You follow us to report to this event, to do this. Reporting that, they are on retainer, get paid to report. Ordinarily, that is the media responsibility to the masses. This does not necessarily mean that Aso Rock, if they do anything wrong, that same media will not report. We see it clearly.
When it happens.
When it happens.
So you don't think there is a compromise there? There have been some stories that
that is why I've not said there is compromise. So there is that level of carefulness of, if we get yanked off this retainership, what happens to us? So government itself is a source of revenue to the media, not in terms of advertisement. So news reporting has now become a commodity that the media houses get paid to do for government organizations.
And it's not supposed to be so.
For state, this is not limited to Aso Rock.
State parliaments, everywhere,
states, and all the likes. You probably don't want to know how much it costs the National Assembly for either any of the TV platform to report live, not to have a reporter there. Those live coverages you see, they get paid. So, how then do you expect Searchlight, the real Searchlight, to be there? When last have you actually noticed? So there's also that challenge of where is that Searchlight beam on? The last time we had the searchlight majorly on the National Assembly, which is supposed to be the center of attraction for democracy. When last did we actually have the searchlight 100% on it? No, largely on it. Probably the last time we had it was during Ewerem or Kadigbo and the likes. After then, what do you get? Oh, that's so.
Okay.
Okay.
So I have a comment from, did the person put their name? Okay, Banke Badmos. It says, can you give us a good example of a private Nigerian media that doesn't fully control the content? How can PR function in a nation where presidential spokesperson do tell lies? Very, very well done to the PR guru. And that's from Banke Badmos. I mean, this is what we see all the time. Even with media, everybody is being attacked that, you know, you are going to do the bidding of the person paying you. Who is paying who pays the piper dictates the tune, right? So that's the story of the average media house. Okay, so let's say tomorrow you are in a position to give, what's it called? You're in a position to transform what the media should look like, you know, towards nation building. You are in that position, you have the authority, the power, you know, to create a media that pushes the agenda for a better Nigeria, where we have an identity, you know, Nigeria becomes great and all of that. What would be the things you would put in place, you know, as that person, if you had that authority to do that? What would be those things that you would put in place?
Well, so I don't actually think that there has to be certain things to be put in place by anyone. The step to be taken is that each media houses, each one, for example, if you say this is Business Day or this is Vanguard, in the 80s, at least, I was reading newspapers somehow. We know very well up to 1993 that this is what Concord newspaper stood for. This is their editorial policy. This is their slant. This is what their slant will look like. We all knew. We knew what Punch was all about. We knew what Vanguard was all about. We knew what Guardian was all about. In fact, at that time, if you see Guardian newspaper in any place, you know you can categorize those people as these are the top echelon of society, the intellectuals and all the like. If you are looking for, at a point, up to the last time, Concord was stopped. You know, they stopped printing due to the proscription by Abacha administration, actually.
Yeah.
What we had, what Concord said, we were not going to be publishing any alcohol or tobacco advertisements. No tobacco. And they stood by it that tobacco is because of their stance towards tobacco. That is what it was for them. So they had an editorial policy, and which also affected their commercial, slant. So first thing is, we need to first ensure that media houses have their own editorial philosophy clearly mapped out. If they have that, you know which media, you know where they stand, and you can then follow suit. Premium time, this is what they do. This is what the cable does. We know exactly which of our media platform does developmental journalism. Oh, you can say, oh, maybe that is what the cable does more. And, oh, a story is virtually dead, and they bring it up, and then they follow through investigative journalism and all the like and all the like. So that is the first thing to do. And that is also a product of what the ownership wanted.
The vision of the platform.
The vision of the platform. And you see that clarity. You know that Business Day, what is the Business Day stance? On economy.
Driving SMEs.
Now, if it is about driving SMEs, if it's about, if this platform says we are against monopoly in business, you will see their stance, no matter how good it may sound or look to the public. They would consistently attack it where they see anything that seems like a monopoly in business, in any sector.
Okay. So if media houses begin to have those strong
when they have those positions and it's well known, then you can then see the agenda getting set clearly. Not today that you see this newspaper, I'm sorry, you see what we consider serious-minded newspaper, and they are discussing.
It's mass market. Mass market.
They are discussing what's this Tope Alabi issue.
Oh, goodness.
I'm sorry.
They are discussing social media gist.
Gist.
Blogging gist.
Yeah.
That's our best
It's all
left
about
with
the
the beer
clicks and
parlor,
the counts.
whatever.
It's the numbers, it's the money. Yeah. Let
So
me
I
ask
have
you
two
comment.
questions actually, but I'll take them one after the other. The first would be on what you mentioned regarding anyhowness and citizen journalism. How would you rate the impact of citizen journalism on the media, those that are supposed to be real journalists, and how can they begin to, I mean, when you rate them, how can they begin to remove themselves from this shackle of getting clicks, like you just said?
Interestingly, the journalists, majority of the journalists that you find in the trenches are not even active on social media. And that is where the major challenge lies. In other climes, you find the strong journalists of the media, of this, mainstream media. You find them leading, so they become the authority. When you see them post anything,
everybody goes there.
That is where the citizen journalists pick their lead from. So, newspapers and mainstream media are picking their lead from the people that is supposed to be feeding on what they provide.
Wow. So how do we turn that around?
How do we turn that around? So it's go back to the basics. It's for the media owners and the main actors in the media houses. They need to come to that space that you call the social media today. You can't separate that line. That line is gone forever. So you now need to take ownership of the public space. If you take the ownership of the public space, which is the social media, otherwise, the same thing like you have in politics, if the good, quote and unquote, good men decide to leave it and say, leave it for the charlatans, then the nation is going to be,
ruled by the charlatans.
Okay. So the same thing.
All right.
And this is not, so that we will not be misquoted and quote out of context. I'm not saying the people on social media are charlatans, no. I'm saying that the people that are supposed to lead the path for conversation on social media, what content should look like, and this is not censorship. This is actually how, so if you constantly see, oh, this is at the basic ethics of reporting, and if they have led the way from the beginning, and they didn't drop it there and say, this is rubbish, it doesn't concern us. Now, we are reaping that thing that we left behind. Like, it's none of our business. Then we left it for anyhowness.
So what is the role of NBC in all of this? I know they sacked our uncle
NBC.
last week, but what's the role of NBC in all of this?
NBC, okay, so again, let's come back. NBC's role does not have anything to do with the newspaper, as far as I know. It's the broadcasting. Now, so because you need licensing, and then there are certain regulations. So first thing, I always advocate this. Let's do the right thing. Let's follow the right path for everything. So there are enabling laws for setting up NBC. What are the people in the media, the owners of the media, what are they doing? Advocating and going back to the National Assembly. Reach out to their people and lobby and engage the National Assembly to show exactly how the enabling law, as we have today, is affecting and is stifling the democracy. So we can't just be shouting at the presidency. So they also need to come together as a body. And what exactly are the issues? If they marshal the issue and discuss this and table a bill, engage them. You have this happening in the oil sector. They are engaging in the National Assembly.
Yeah.
Telecom sector is engaging. Every manufacturers are engaging in National Assembly. So what stops the media owners from engaging?
But do you truly believe that the media is powerful enough to transform Nigeria? Do you think we can actually get there?
The media has actually transformed Nigeria over time, over and over. If we have followed the history from 1990-something, the Babangida era...
I think we've gotten to that point where when we are talking transformation and change, we need to know if it's positive or negative.
Positive.
Okay.
Positive. So, and that is going back from time from 1980-something, 90-something, up to date and all the like. The democracy, everyone, we're all talking about, we have democracy. This is over 20 years uninterrupted, right?
So you have faith that we've done a good job?
We can only get better.
Okay.
And we can't get better without talking, without all this conversation, without... At a point in time, in this same country, you go to market, the wife, a wife of a soldier will slap you and nothing will happen in this country. I think we've gone past that to a very large extent.
So there's a progress.
But citizens themselves also need to become active and not become what they are campaigning against. We still have Nigerians who will go to police station, or not even police station, just call a police. I want you to arrest this person. She's owing me money. And they will use soldier to do what? Soldier. To get someone out of their house because they're owing house rent.
Wow.
So we use the same thing. So if we say government use police to harass us, we use police to harass citizens.
Wow. I think we've gone, thank you so much. I think we've progressed a bit. Let me quickly take a final comment from, it says, I strongly feel that the journalists can pick the social media outbursts and redirect/correct the narratives towards the desired and correct information, thereby influencing appropriately. This is, sorry, Elsie, this is greatly missing, and this is another good starting point. That's what the person is saying, is asking if you agree with that. Yes or no, because we don't have time.
We have gone past a major challenge at the moment. The media space today is flooded with people who do not even understand the basic ethics and the path to journalism.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Maruf. Elsie Kwele, thank you so much. All right, so before we go, please do ensure to follow us on Instagram at PlusTvAfrica. You can interact with us further there, drop a comment. Importantly, we're also planning something very soon, a huge giveaway to say thank you to you for believing in us and watching Ways. So keep the conversation going on social media and follow us so you can see when we do put that out. All right, so in case you missed today's quote, here it is again. I still believe that if your aim is to change the world, journalism is a more immediate short-term weapon. And I do believe in the media space, and we will keep pushing and driving the right conversations. We'll see you live tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.
Contrary to popular belief, Corona is not a hoax. The virus is real.